The world occasionally witnesses a moment, a time when a nation takes the initiative and demonstrates that it is a leading force in world affairs rather than just a supporting role. That nation was Canada today, and it was Mark Carney, the leader, who made it happen. Something extraordinary occurred at the G20 summit in South Africa. Carney immediately stood out from the crowd when he took the stage and talked with a degree of authority, clarity, and intellect. Not as a politician seeking to earn points, not as a diplomat repeating talking points, but as a true global leader directing the debate. His entire G20 address is about to be delivered, and it's not simply another political event. It marks the beginning of Canada's transition into a new role in the world, one based on economic strategy, credibility, and independence from the volatility of the Trump administration. Let's examine why this G20 speech is so important and why commentators worldwide are already referring to it as one of Canada's best international performances in recent memory. I would now like to invite Dr. Mark Joseph Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, to speak. I'm grateful, Chair. I'll make an effort to emulate Australia. Let me begin. Resilience is the topic of this session. I wish to join those who highlighted the vulnerability of armed conflict during the first session, denouncing the terrible violence in Sudan, Russia's unlawful, unjustified, and brutal invasion of Ukraine, and our support for any initiatives that can result in a fair and durable peace. Carney starts out by discussing the global cascade of issues, which include political divisions, economic instability, and climatic shocks. However, he accomplishes it in a manner that only a person with genuine international experience can. His voice is not apprehensive. He doesn't sound staged. He sounds like he belongs there, like someone who's already been determining world policy for decades. And it becomes immediately apparent why world leaders hold him in high regard. Carney is aware of the enormity of the situation. He presents ideas with maturity and accurately frames the problems facing the planet. It's rare to see someone from a G20 podium, and Canada hasn't done so in a long time. Let me now discuss climate change. We've known for more than 10 years that, in terms of climate change, the past is not prologue. Stated differently, today's key possibilities are the tail risks of yesterday. Tipping points are becoming apparent. Let me give you an example. Just 2 years ago, Canada was the world's fourth largest carbon emitter due to forest fires. Well, the Darwin cyclone is one example. In terms of size, the devastation caused by the forest fires last year and this year was more than that of Sierra Leone. We must take action at all levels, including resilience, adaptation, and mitigation. International collaboration is vital. I would like to express my gratitude to our host, South Africa, Mexico, and other countries that deployed firefighters to Canada to assist in fighting the flames. Carney then launches into a compelling examination of climate risk as an economic force affecting international markets, rather than as an activist concern or political talking point. He clarifies that infrastructure failure is now an economic expense, that climatic shocks are now directly linked to national GDP, and that climate risk is now an investment risk. What makes us so powerful is that Carney is one of the rare leaders who can integrate science, economics, finance, and national strategy into one coherent statement. This is a person who understands how to navigate the world, not someone who is responding to it, and that was felt throughout the room. Regarding our own mitigation, let me simply state that, as Prime Minister Albanese just hinted, we see combating climate change as both a moral obligation and a business need. Because cutting emissions would strengthen our companies, it is a climate competitiveness plan. I mentioned mixed finance in my previous remarks. I'll simply stress how crucial those initiatives are, both through the World Bank and elsewhere. However, before my time expires, I would like to draw attention to a few other difficulties. First, the significance of high-integrity standardized carbon markets that might direct capital flows to people most impacted by climate change. These markets could be combined with jet Ps like this one, altering the financial calculations and incentives for decarbonization. By pledging AI data center development to be carbon neutral, I believe we can stimulate the massive demand for these credits from the commercial sector. We require a carbon pricing. I applaud the European Union, my neighbor, for setting a carbon price and implementing a CBA. If it is okay with Prime Minister Holes of Jamaica, I would want to end by bringing attention to the predicament of one of the people seated at this table. About 40% of Jamaica's GDP has been lost as a result of Hurricane Melissa. Resilience is less expensive than calamity, which is Carney's next remark, which reverberated throughout the gathering. He places a heavy emphasis on early investment, improved infrastructure, more intelligent energy systems, and robust supply networks. He makes a direct connection between competitiveness and climate danger. Carney sets himself apart from previous leaders at this point. He provides a blueprint, a financial path for resilience, rather than lecturing the world. The Carney distinction is this: he simultaneously speaks the language of prime leaders, central bankers, and international investors. In recent years, Jamaica has lowered its debt to GDP by more than 50 percentage points thanks to exceptional discipline. With the catastrophic hurricane, all of that is gone. This illustrates the significance of making proactive investments in resilience, the value of catastrophic risk insurance, and the actual effects of climate change on our nations. I applaud Turkey's aspirations to host the COP alongside Australia next year, as the G20 presidency. Carney's remark to the catastrophic economic loss Jamaica endured following Hurricane Melissa is one of the most dramatic moments. It lost about 40% of its GDP. He uses this example to clarify why climate resilience and economic stability are related issues rather than to shock people. The energy in the room shifts at this point. Carney is not delivering a speech. He is teaching a lesson that the G7 and the Global South can all relate to. Since their response was instantaneous, let's see how Canadian and foreign analysts reacted. A significant observation was made by political strategists. It felt odd to have Carney at the G20. It was somber. It seemed real. They compared it to previous Canadian performances at international meetings where content was frequently overwhelmed by symbols. Carney's socks, jokes, and photo ops did not make him the focus of attention. He was discussing the global economy, resilience, climate change, and investment. This is the tone that the world respects and that Canada needs. Rian Watts, a Republican strategist, is now joining us. It's lovely to see you, Rian. Greetings. Good morning. Therefore, it will be criticized that this was just another opportunity for Mark Carney to take pictures. What concrete results do you anticipate for Canada from this summit? Well, happy Saturday, Renee, and it's nice to see you. I believe there are a few things that are crucial for your visitors' context. First of all, these summits and summitry by themselves hardly ever produce a hard deliverable for any nation, much less Canada. However, I should point out that, unlike with the protracted national nightmare known as Justin Trudeau, we are fortunate not to have reports about our Prime Minister's socks and attire. The Prime Minister is actually showing up and discussing a variety of topics, including trade and investment. On the international scene, Canada is highly represented. However, I believe that the outcomes of the Prime Minister's and the G20 summit's trip to Abu Dhabi, as well as the meetings the Prime Minister and his team are holding outside of the summit, will be similar to what the Swedish government showed last week when they traveled to Ottawa with Saab. The Prime Minister has a great deal of credibility with foreign partners, and it is evident that his summertime trips to Europe attracted the interest and affection of the Swedes who visited Ottawa last week and discussed their desire to invest in defense and security to generate jobs. I believe the Prime Minister will provide the outcomes of this meeting to us in a few months. Something that should be important to all Canadians is shown by the news talks. Carney is bringing Canada back into the global spotlight. Speeches and handshakes are not the purpose of summits. Their goal is to covertly create future agreements, open doors, and create partnerships that will pay off months later. The analysts point to a prime example. Carney's previous diplomatic efforts with Sweden resulted in actual defense and economic collaboration. Global leadership operates in this manner. You sow seeds abroad, and later you reap the rewards. At the G20, Carney is doing just that. Trump's lack of involvement has been one of the most intriguing conclusions drawn from the online discussion. Not in the responses, not in the interpretation, not in Carney's speech. Carney worked on his own. Canada ran on its own. Implicitly, analysts acknowledge that American approval is no longer the primary focus of Canada's foreign policy. This is an important moment in a world where Trump used to eclipse all Canadian diplomatic efforts. Carney's shown that Canada can be taken seriously without adopting the U.S. strategy. The emergence of Canada as a self-assured, autonomous voice in international affairs marks the beginning of a new era. For Canadians, Carney's G20 performance raises important questions. Do you believe that this ushers in a new age in which Canada once again assumes a true leadership role in the world? Or was this just a fantastic opportunity for Carney to gain international attention? Is he rebuilding Canada's reputation? Or is there just a need for leadership in this unpredictable world? Please share your opinions in the comments section. I read each and every one of them. I want to share something significant with everyone who has supported Canada Today from the start before we end up. Canada Today is currently active on Patreon. This implies that you can join this channel directly for the first time ever, and you can do so for as low as $3 per month. Each and every member enables us to remain independent, conduct more in-depth research, and provide you with the kind of worldwide insight that is just not available on mainstream networks. Additionally, membership enables special, uncensored footage, extra commentary, behind-the-scenes breakdowns, and stories that we occasionally have to restrict on YouTube. And I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude. You are the first official Patreon member of Canada Today, David Huber. We appreciate your support and belief in this channel as we move forward. The Patreon link is in the description if you would want to contribute to the work we're doing and gain access to everything we can't always share here. Your assistance really does make a difference. Naturally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Canada Today so that you don't miss any of the upcoming updates, analyses, or significant world events. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video, and I appreciate your support of independent Canadian media.